Shalom, brothers and sisters. This life will come back. It's something that I wanted to share. Something that is just starting to trickle down. Something that's starting to trickle down. Okay, first of all, this life, nature of reality. This life is somewhat backwards, inside and out, upside down, a upside down mirror reflection. So everything you believe about this life is wrong. Things are backwards. Like, for instance, you may have been brought up with certain ideals about your family, only to find out that your parents or your siblings that you were brought up with are not your actual family. They're not your actual siblings. Same parents, same household, but they're not your actual family. This is what is just trickling down. They're not your actual family, especially if you're a person who's been labeled as a person of interest, somebody who's been an outcast, the black sheep of the family. See, there's a lot to that term, the black sheep, because you're an outsider of those people that you call your family. Although you may have been born from the portal of the mother and came out of your father, they're actually like a sort of custodian parent. They're not your actual parents. The reason why this came about from you hear a lot about karmic, you hear about karma, and karma comes into many forms, and in this way is that before we are born, we are matched up with different persons. We matched up with different people, and we sign a contract, and maybe this it could be a friend on the other side, and they decide to play a role in your life. That role could be a parent, it could be a sibling. In most cases, it's always the people that you play, like you may have played each other's other half or another dynamic. There's different dynamics, but anyway, the point I'm really trying to get to is that the person that we consider, for example, the mother, is not the actual mother, even though you may have been born from them. They are a person that is playing a role, as they're playing a role, and they're somebody completely different. They're completely different. Like it's very left field. Like they have their own family somewhere else, and you all have your own family. Now, I would like to just focus on the fact that everything you believe about this life is wrong. Is that this life appears to be some sort of puzzle. That every time we move along, we find a piece of the puzzle, and you know there's different pieces that are spread throughout different relationships, and sometimes you gain a piece of the puzzle through complete strangers who you may or may not have met. Like, they will unconsciously possibly tell you some information which is required for you to add to the puzzle pieces. Now, I've just, from a personal standpoint, found out that my family, that who I grew up with, they're not my actual family, despite how much we grew up together and we love each other, and they're not the actual family. They're a karmic family, and the people that have been involved in gang stalking, they will understand this, because they would have realized that the people around them, the masks have slipped. They've taken off their masks. That they've revealed themselves, and the revelations have been almost difficult to take, because, like, for instance, I found out that my own parents, the person that I called, the person who gave birth to me, I found out that they sold me to I want to call it some sort of intelligent government service. They sold me to them. They sold me. I was sold to the government intelligence system, that I should be tracked, and throughout my whole life I should be tracked, and they would actually map out the way my life turns out, that they will be responsible for almost everything that I do, everywhere I go, the people that I meet in life. Every person that I've met has only had one sole purpose. Their sole purpose for every person that I've come across was to inflict some sort of pain. Now, this whole thing is it's not a like people are against you. It's just that on the different perspective, in a different way, that we choose the life that we are about to experience. So in a way, you could say maybe it's like a game. Maybe like life is like a sort of a game, and we have to figure our way through the game. I.e., like the person who gave birth to me, they wanted to inflict pain of issues to do with abandonment. So what they would do is they would inflict that wound any chance they had, they would inflict that wound. So it will set a pattern that would be followed throughout the life that then you'd attract people who would inflict the same wound over and over again, and this would build up the wound. It would make the wound become deeper, and then once the wound that causes a trauma. Now it's very very I want to say that it's very complex, very complicated, because the end game, I'm not too sure what the end game is yet, but because the one section of the game is when they sold me to the bidder. Like, what they did is kind of like switched personalities somehow. They switched personalities. Like, the real person of that I am, it was manipulated by my experiences, and the real person that I am is seen through a mirror reflection through other people. Seen through other people. That is a real person of that I ought to be, that I was supposed to be. And somehow these are people that I usually will come across, and sometimes they will be my a friend of some sort. But each person, make no mistake, each person, if somebody else has got a similar issue to do with abandonment, usually they will experience the same thing over and over and over again, the cycle will just repeat itself. Okay, this video is a bit long, so I'll come back with part 2.